Aquarius workshop, pleasure as a goal in life. I start with a quote from Pathwork Lecture 177 with the title, Pleasure, the full pulsation of life. And the quote is as follows. The greater your ecstasy, your pleasure, your joy, the more you contribute to the world. When you reach this inner awareness, not a theoretical, but an experiential awareness, you will create the following conditions within yourself. You will make the total experience of pleasure a spiritual and practical goal. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 177. Freed from illusions and misconceptions, we are in harmony with the cosmic energy currents, and there's only the pure joy of living, loving, feeling, changing, fulfillment, beauty and abundance. To love is to enjoy. To really live is to enjoy. And to enjoy is our true nature, our birthright. And this ability to enjoy intensely determines the level of energy and well-being. Enjoyment depends on the ability to let go of the ego and let the inner will of the true self guide us. Pleasure is only possible in love, truth and unity, with a relaxed mental and emotional state of surrender, trust and patience. We experience pleasure on a physical, mental, emotional and spiritual level when all cells of our entire being resonate and vibrate in harmony with ourselves, the universe, and with other people. But as long as we, as a result of blind automatic reflexes, say no to life in a rejecting, resentful and suspicious way, there is a prohibition on enjoyment. Then we allow ourselves to be guided by the idealized self-image and find enjoyment selfish, bad and indecent. Then we connect pleasure with guilt, shame and fear. Then we turn love and pleasure into hate. By depriving ourselves of the pleasure experience, we block contact with the inner will of the true self and disconnect from this healing universal life stream. In this workshop you will explore with a loving curiosity, based on 3 themes of the Pathwork Lectures, pleasure as a goal in life. The first theme, considering pleasure as your birthright. Living in duality due to ego identification creates a painful conflict because emotional dependence makes us either conform to imposed norms or rebel against them. This immature attitude with forcing currents, selfishness, negative pleasure, and life-hostile patterns robs us of our birthright. It is only when we have the inner will to re-establish contact with the unity level of the true self that we can truly experience pleasure. The next quote stems from Pathwork Lecture 143. The message coming from the real self says, Your birthright is perfect happiness, freedom, and mastery over life. When you fight for this birthright under dualistic principles, you remove yourself further and further from the realization of yourself, in which you could truly have mastery, freedom, and total fulfillment of yourself. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 143. The second theme, self-responsibility as a condition. As long as we cling to an extended childhood and let others pay for the consequences of our actions and faults, we cannot experience pleasure. But when we stand on our own 2 feet, mature emotionally, take responsibility for ourselves, and respect and love ourselves, we become more and more capable of pleasure. The acceptance of complete autonomy and the ability to experience pleasure are inseparably linked. The next quote stems from Pathwork Lecture 156. Only one who is fully self-responsible is capable of utilizing the freedom creation has granted all beings. For example, when people shift the blame for their present unhappy state on any other factor than their own unconscious processes, they are not self-responsible, no matter how subtly and covertly this may be done. There is a mechanism in the psyche that directly connects this displacement with the prohibition of pleasure. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 156. The third and last theme, acknowledging fear of pleasure. To the extent that we feel unhappy, empty, and unfulfilled, we fear pleasure, no matter how much we crave it on a conscious level. Therefore, one of the most fundamental human conflicts is the struggle between the desire for and the fear of pleasure. The unconscious rejection of pleasure must be recognized in order to work on it. The fear of pleasure will disappear when we accept ourselves, endure frustrations, and choose emotional maturity. The last quote stands from Pathwork Lecture 177. Once you can ascertain in full consciousness, I am afraid of pleasure, hopelessness will disappear. You will feel the 2 forces within yourself, one pulling you towards pleasure, the other away from it. You will feel these 2 forces on all levels of your being, in your mind, in your feelings. When the battle goes on unbeknownst to your conscious mind, it is extremely painful. When you know of its existence, you can begin to settle the conflict. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 177. I wish you peace and all the best. Thank you.